Wrestling has seen many giants, but King Kong Bundy was different. At over 450 pounds, he didn't just win matches, he dominated them. He was so confident in his power that he demanded referees count to 5 instead of 3, just to prove his opponents had no chance. Bundy's career was filled with huge moments. He battled legends like Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and The Undertaker. Fans still talk about his 9-second WrestleMania 1 match, his brutal steel cage fight against Hogan at WrestleMania 2, and the time he cracked Andre the Giant's sternum. But despite all that success, Bundy's career took an unexpected turn. One moment, he was headlining major events and tearing through opponents. The next, he was gone from WWE, barely mentioned again. For a man who helped shape the early days of WrestleMania, it was shocking to see how quickly he was pushed aside. His larger-than-life presence, his memorable matches, and his dominance in the ring should have cemented his legacy. Yet, his name was missing from the WWE Hall of Fame. So what went wrong? Was it backstage politics, personal choices, or something else? Why did WWE seem to turn its back on one of its biggest stars? To understand his downfall, we need to go back to the beginning, where King Kong Bundy's journey first started. Before he became King Kong Bundy, he was Christopher Allen Pallies, born on November 7, 1955 in Woodbury, New Jersey. From an early age, Chris was bigger than most kids his age, but he wasn't just big. He was athletic, strong, and competitive. In high school, Chris excelled in amateur wrestling, winning 2 regional championships before graduating in 1974. He had the size, strength, and natural ability to dominate, and it didn't take long for people to notice. After high school, instead of following the traditional path of college or football, Chris took a different route: professional wrestling. He trained at Larry Sharp's Monster Factory in Belmar, New Jersey, a well-known school that produced many wrestling stars. Under Sharp's guidance, Chris learned the fundamentals and prepared for his debut. On March 7, 1981, he stepped into the ring for the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, for the first time under the name Chris Kanyon. He won his debut match against Strong Kobayashi, but his time in WWF was short-lived. Chris realized he needed more experience, so he traveled to different wrestling territories across the country. He found success in World Class Championship Wrestling, WCCW, in Texas, where he underwent a major transformation. Originally wrestling as Big Daddy Bundy, he was seen as just another big guy. But that changed when he aligned with manager Gary Hart, who gave him a new identity: King Kong Bundy. The name was inspired by King Kong, the giant movie monster, and it fit him perfectly. His bald head, massive size, and intimidating presence made him one of the most feared men in wrestling. But something unexpected happened that made him stand out even more. During a heated feud with the Von Erich family, one of Texas's most famous wrestling dynasties, Bundy lost his hair in a match. Instead of seeing it as a setback, he embraced the bald look, making it his trademark. From that moment on, he was instantly recognizable. Bundy continued to improve, traveling across different wrestling promotions. In Georgia Championship Wrestling, he teamed up with the masked wrestler The Superstar to defeat the Road Warriors for the NWA National Tag Team Championship. The Road Warriors were known for being nearly unbeatable, making Bundy's victory a huge moment. But it was in Mid-South Wrestling that Bundy came up with the thing that would make him truly unique: the 5-count pin. Unlike other wrestlers who only needed a 3-count to win, Bundy demanded that referees count to 5 just to prove his dominance. This wasn't just a gimmick, it was brilliant psychology. Every time he crushed an opponent and got that 5 count, fans knew he was in a league of his own. Bundy was no longer just another big guy, he was a monster, and soon the WWF took notice. Before we continue with the video and dive deeper into the issues with King Kong Bundy's career, I'd love to ask for your support. I'm working towards reaching 1,000 subscribers, and your subscription would mean a lot. If you enjoy this content, consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps. All right, let's get back to it. By the mid-1980s, King Kong Bundy had built a reputation as a dominant force in wrestling. His size, power, and unique 5-count pin made him stand out from every other big man in the industry. His success in World-Class Championship Wrestling, Mid-South Wrestling, and Georgia Championship Wrestling caught the attention of the World Wrestling Federation, WWF. On March 16, 1985, Bundy made his official return to WWF, and the company wasted no time promoting him as a monster. Vince McMahon had big plans, and fans knew something major was coming. When Bundy debuted on WWF Championship Wrestling, jaws dropped. Standing in the ring was Mario Mancini, a young wrestler who was about to have the worst night of his career. The bell rang, and in less than a minute, Bundy crushed Mancini with his avalanche splash and big splash, then demanded a 5 count instead of the usual 3. The message was clear. King Kong Bundy wasn't just there to win, he was there to destroy. Bundy was initially managed by Jimmy Hart, but in September 1985, Hart made a deal that changed everything. He traded Bundy to the legendary Bobby the Brain Heenan, one of the greatest managers in wrestling history. Heenan saw Bundy as the perfect weapon against a man no one dared to challenge, Andre the Giant. At the time, Andre the Giant was undefeated for 15 years. No one had been able to stop him, but Bundy didn't just challenge Andre, he ambushed him. During a match, Bundy and his new partner, Big John Studd, trapped Andre in the corner and delivered multiple avalanche splashes. The attack was so brutal that it cracked Andre's sternum. This wasn't just another rivalry, it was war. WWF promoted their giant versus giant battles on Saturday night's Main Event, which was one of the few wrestling shows on network TV at the time. Bundy and Studd took on Andre and Tony Atlas in a high-stakes match that had fans on edge. The feud continued with even bigger stakes when Andre teamed up with the biggest star in wrestling, Hulk Hogan. The matches between Andre and Hogan versus Bundy and Studd were some of the most intense tag team matches in WWF history. But while Bundy held his own against Andre, his real target became Hulk Hogan and the WWF Championship. The rivalry with Hogan escalated on a shocking night at Saturday night's Main Event. Bundy and his partner, the Magnificent Morocco, ambushed Hogan, slamming him into the ring post and hitting multiple splashes. Hogan's ribs were injured, and the attack set the stage for their biggest showdown yet, WrestleMania 2. At the same time, Bundy and Studd targeted the WWF Tag Team Champions. Their battles with Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid proved that Bundy wasn't just a powerhouse. He could keep up with faster, high-flying wrestlers. Bundy's next major WrestleMania appearance came at WrestleMania 3. On April 7, 1986, WrestleMania 2 took place, and all eyes were on the steel cage. The massive blue bars lowered around the ring, trapping Hogan and Bundy inside. From the opening bell, Bundy used his size and strength to throw Hogan around, slamming him into the cage and targeting his injured ribs. He nearly escaped multiple times, but Hogan fought through the pain. Bundy hit his avalanche splash, and for a moment it looked like it was over. But somehow, Hogan found the strength to fight back. He hulked up, slammed Bundy, and climbed over the cage to escape and retain the title. Even though Bundy lost, he had just headlined WrestleMania, a massive accomplishment that solidified him as a top star. After WrestleMania 2, Bundy wasn't finished. He teamed back up with Big John Studd, and together they entered one of the strangest feuds in wrestling history, the Machine's Mystery. The Machines were a group of masked wrestlers, and their leader, Giant Machine, looked suspiciously like Andre the Giant. Bundy and Studd, along with Heenan, spent weeks trying to prove that Giant Machine was really Andre in disguise. The feud turned into a mix of wrestling, mystery, and comedy, keeping fans entertained. At the same time, Bundy and Studd targeted the WWF Tag Team Champions, the British Bulldogs. Their battles with Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid proved that Bundy wasn't just a powerhouse. He could keep up with faster, high-flying wrestlers. Bundy's next major WrestleMania appearance came at WrestleMania 3. But this time, it was something unexpected. A mixed six-man tag team match with Little Person wrestlers. Bundy teamed up with Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook to face Hillbilly Jim and his partners, Haiti Kid and Little Beaver. During the match, Bundy lost his patience and body slammed Little Beaver. then dropped a massive elbow on him. The moment stunned the crowd, and even Bundy's teammates turned against him. The match ended in chaos, but it showed how Bundy could keep fans emotionally invested, whether in a WrestleMania main event or a novelty match. By 1987, Bundy was still a major threat. He competed in the King of the Ring tournament, making it to the finals before losing to Randy Savage. He also did something shocking. He defeated Hulk Hogan on Saturday night's main event 13 by countout. Even though Hogan kept his title, beating him in any way was a huge deal. Bundy had proven he could dominate WWF, and he wasn't finished yet. But his career was about to take an unexpected turn. By the late 1980s, King Kong Bundy had been one of WWF's most dominant forces. He headlined WrestleMania, crushed opponents with his 5-count pin, and even defeated Hulk Hogan by countout. But despite his success, things started to change behind the scenes, leading to his unexpected downfall. One of the first signs of trouble was Bundy's growing frustration with WWF management. Unlike many top stars, he didn't get the same level of merchandise, endorsements, or outside opportunities. Bundy was a massive attraction, but he felt underappreciated and underpaid. Another issue was his working style. While fans loved Bundy's size and power, some wrestlers found him too rough in the ring. He wasn't reckless, but his moves were stiff, and in an era where Hulk Hogan-style entertainers were taking over, some saw Bundy as too much of an old-school powerhouse. By 1988, WWF was shifting its focus. New stars like Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, and Ted DiBiase were taking over the main event scene. Bundy, despite his reputation, wasn't getting the same push. As a result, he quietly left the WWF in early 1988. For the next few years, Bundy stayed away from mainstream wrestling, working in smaller promotions and even stepping into acting. He appeared in commercials, TV shows like Married with Children, and even movies. While fans still remembered him, his absence from WWF made people wonder if he was done with wrestling for good. But in 1994, the unexpected happened. Bundy returned to WWF. At the time, WWF was struggling against WCW, which was growing stronger with stars like Ric Flair, Sting, and Vader. To fight back, Vince McMahon decided to bring back older stars, and Bundy was one of them. He returned as part of the $1 Million Corporation, a heel faction led by Ted DiBiase. At Survivor Series 1994, Bundy proved he was still dangerous, being one of the last survivors in his match. It seemed like he was on track for another major push. World Wrestling Federation even positioned him as a major challenger for The Undertaker at WrestleMania 11. But this match exposed a big problem. Wrestling had changed. By the mid-90s, fans were drawn to faster, more athletic wrestlers like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Giant, methodical wrestlers like Bundy were becoming less popular. His match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 11 was slow. And while Bundy still had his intimidating presence, it was clear he wasn't the same force he had been in the 80s. After the loss to The Undertaker, Bundy's push stopped. He was slowly phased out of WWF storylines, and by mid-1995, he left the company for the final time. This time, there was no major send-off, no farewell tour. He was just gone. Bundy returned to the independent wrestling scene, wrestling in smaller promotions and making occasional appearances. But his time as a mainstream star was over. The final blow to his WWF legacy came in 2018, when a lawsuit was filed against WWE by former wrestlers, claiming the company failed to protect them from long-term brain injuries. Bundy was part of this lawsuit, and some believe this was the reason he was never inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Bundy had once been one of the biggest names in wrestling, but in the end, he was quietly pushed aside, never getting the recognition many fans felt he deserved. After leaving WWF in 1995, King Kong Bundy stepped away from the national spotlight. While he never returned to the big leagues, he still made his presence felt in independent wrestling. Bundy spent the late 1990s and early 2000s wrestling in smaller promotions across the United States. He was still a major attraction, and promoters knew fans would pay to see the legendary big man in action. He worked with companies like Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, and various regional promotions. where he crushed opponents just like he had in his prime. During this time, Bundy also made surprise appearances on TV and in pop culture. He was already known for his role on Married with Children, but he continued making guest spots in different shows and commercials. His size and personality made him a great fit for entertainment beyond wrestling. In the mid-2000s, there were rumors that Bundy might return to WWE for a nostalgia run, similar to what Hulk Hogan and other 80s legends had done. However, this never materialized. By then, WWE had moved on from many of its older stars, focusing on a new generation. Although Bundy never officially returned, his influence in wrestling remained. Many big men who came after him, like Big Show, Braun Strowman, and Kevin Owens, took inspiration from his style. His ability to mix power, charisma, and storytelling set a blueprint for future giants. Despite his legacy, there was one major recognition Bundy never received: a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. For years, fans expected Bundy to be inducted. After all, he was one of the first true WrestleMania main eventers and a key figure in WWF's rise in the 1980s. But for some reason, his name was never called. Many believe this was because of his involvement in the 2018 concussion lawsuit against WWE. Bundy and several other wrestlers accused the company of failing to protect them from serious head injuries. The lawsuit was later dismissed, but some speculate it hurt Bundy's chances of ever being honored by WWE. In his later years, Bundy focused on life outside of wrestling. He continued doing stand-up comedy, something few would expect from a man his size. His sense of humor, which had always been a part of his wrestling persona, made him a natural entertainer even outside the ring. Sadly, on March 4, 2019, King Kong Bundy passed away in Glassboro, New Jersey, at the age of 63 due to complications from diabetes. The wrestling world mourned the loss of a true giant. Even though WWE never gave him a Hall of Fame induction, fans will always remember Bundy for what he was: one of the most dominant and unforgettable big men in wrestling history. Outside the ring, King Kong Bundy was nothing like the monster fans saw on TV. Those who knew him described him as funny, intelligent, and easygoing. Despite his intimidating look, he had a great sense of humor and loved making people laugh. Bundy had a passion for animals, especially cats. He often spoke about his love for his pets and even helped raise awareness for animal shelters. It was a side of him that many wrestling fans never saw. Unlike many wrestlers of his era, Bundy didn't live a wild lifestyle. While others partied, he focused on building a stable life outside of wrestling. He was a private person who didn't seek attention when the cameras weren't rolling. After retiring from full-time wrestling, Bundy explored acting and stand-up comedy. His role on Married with Children made him a fan favorite, and he continued making TV appearances in shows and commercials. He also performed stand-up comedy, using his sharp wit to entertain audiences in a different way. In 2016, Bundy was rumored to be a candidate for the WWE Hall of Fame, but the call never came. Many fans were confused, as Bundy had been a major part of WWF's early success. Some believe his involvement in the concussion lawsuit against WWE played a role in the company distancing itself from him. Despite this, Bundy's influence on wrestling remained strong. His 5-count pin and dominant in-ring style inspired future big men in wrestling. His ability to mix power with personality set the standard for giants like Big Show, Braun Strowman, and Kevin Owens. On March 4, 2019, the wrestling world was shocked to learn that King Kong Bundy had passed away at his home in Glassboro, New Jersey. He was 63 years old. The cause of death was reported as complications from diabetes, a condition he had been dealing with for years. Tributes poured in from fans, wrestlers, and industry insiders. Mick Foley, Jim Ross, and many others shared their memories of Bundy, praising his contributions to wrestling. Even though WWE had distanced itself from him in his later years, fans never forgot what he meant to the business. His passing reignited discussions about his Hall of Fame snub. Many felt that WWE should have honored him while he was still alive. His role in WrestleMania history, his legendary feuds, and his impact on the industry made him more than deserving. Although he never received that official recognition, King Kong Bundy's legacy remains strong. He was one of the first big men to show that size alone wasn't enough. You also needed personality and presence. Bundy may be gone, but his influence in wrestling lives on. Every time a dominant big man crushes an opponent, demands an extra count, or commands the crowd's attention, a little bit of King Kong Bundy's spirit is still in the ring. King Kong Bundy was more than just another big man in wrestling. He was a dominant force who helped shape the industry. His career was filled with memorable moments, from crushing opponents in seconds to headlining WrestleMania 2 inside a steel cage. At his peak, Bundy was one of the most feared wrestlers in the world. His matches with Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and The Undertaker proved he could go toe-to-toe with the biggest names in the business. His 5-count pin became legendary, and his presence alone made fans take notice. But despite his success, Bundy's career took an unexpected turn. He left WWF in 1988, made a brief comeback in 1994, and then disappeared from the mainstream spotlight. He continued wrestling in smaller promotions, did stand-up comedy, and even made appearances on TV. But WWE never gave him the Hall of Fame recognition many believe he deserved. Even though WWE pushed him aside, fans never forgot him. His influence can still be seen in today's wrestling, inspiring giants like Big Show and Braun Strowman. King Kong Bundy left a mark that will never be erased. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm working towards 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps a lot. Let me know in the comments, do you think King Kong Bundy should be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.